Okay. Hello, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to this session. I hope you are all as excited as we are to have this session today. I think I'm going to start by, I'm sure most of you already know what this is all about. I'm going to start by sort of giving a summary in terms of what Sterling Bank has done with really trying to be the private sector agro-financing partner doing this from an African perspective. It is the third year that this is going to be happening. And I think it's amazing, particularly as you see with what is happening with COVID-19 and with Africa really being where a lot of people are looking at, as well as considering the African Free Trade Agreement as well. So I think all of these things and all of these things coming through make this really the year where we start to push things forward. So congratulations to Sterling Bank, congratulations to all the partners, and congratulations that we're doing this the third year running. And it is beautiful to see that even in a year like this, a program like this can be adapted to COVID-19 situations where it is going to be online. I think this is a precursor to the event, the main event that is going to be happening next week, which is good. But this is also just a precursor and a summary and an introduction of everything. So my name is Nina Olatoke. I am based here in Dubai. I am a vice president for HR for BDP International, which is a global logistics service provider. And I look after Europe, Middle East, and Africa. So to be also positioned in a city like Dubai, where there's a lot of connections and synergy between businesses that exist within the UAE and Africa in itself, it's a powerful message. Today with us, we have distinguished guests who will start the panel, and I will start by introducing His Excellency Ambassador Mohammed Rimi. He is the Nigerian ambassador to the UAE and is based out of Dubai. He is very supportive of the private sector and has a rich private sector career before joining the diplomatic service. And I must say that I have been honored to meet Ambassador Rimi personally. And I do say he has a passion for really pushing a positive image of Nigeria in the UAE. Your Excellency, you're welcome today.
Thank you very much.
The next person I am going to introduce is Ebenezer Boluwade, and he has a BSc and a master's degree in agri-economics from University of Ibadan. He's also an alumni of the Lagos Business School. Currently, he heads the Sterling Bank's Agro-Business Development and Strategic Unit. He's a key member of the Agriculture Summit Africa organization team, and will be speaking and giving more information about the summit today. Ebenezer, you're welcome to the session.
Thank you, Nina. Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
Okay. I'm now going to also introduce Mr. Mohammed Ismail. He leads DP World business development activity across sub-Saharan Africa. Prior to joining DP World, he has established GE First office in Addis Ababa, headed the business development strategy for the Dubai Merchant Exchange, and was a consultant with McKinsey & Company. Mohammed holds a BA honors in natural science and an MSc in theological physics from the University of Cambridge, an MSc also in development economics from the University of Bristol, and an MBA from Instead University, which is actually one of the top business schools in the world. I think they're within the top 5. So Mr. Mohammed, you're welcome to the event.
Thank you, Nina.
I also want to introduce Roland, Mr. Roland Honor. He is the founder and director of the Nigerian Agribusiness Register, coordinating the investment deal room. And I think that's one key thing. The more I learn about the deal room, the more interested I become in finding out more. for the summit, and Roland managed trade and investment facilitation projects for the United States Agency for International Development in Nigeria from 2010 to 2018 before starting the Agribusiness Register in 2018. He has a BSc in Business Administration and also an MBA. So Roland, you're welcome to the session.
Thank you very much, Nina. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you.
Okay. And then I finally, last but not the least, I want to introduce the representative for Sterling, for Cordell Stone, a subsidiary of Sterling Bank here. I believe that is Onyebuchi Ibiami. And Onyebuchi is a senior manager at Cornerstone, an investment banking subsidiary of Sterling Bank. So Onyebuchi, I want to welcome you as well to the session.
Thank you.
Fantastic. Now, as we go into the session, Ambassador Rimi, His Excellency Ambassador Rimi, I would like to welcome you to say the welcome address to everyone here.
Thank you very much. It's an honor and a privilege to be associated with you. And my remarks will be very short and precise, and I do not want to take much of your time. As you know very well, the diplomatic relationships between UAE and Nigeria was established in the year 2008 with the opening of the embassy here in Abu Dhabi. And of course, 1 or 2 years after, the Consulate General in Dubai was also established. Similarly, UAE also opens its embassy a year after, which was in 2009, and a consulate in Abuja just about 2 years ago. The relationship between Nigeria and UAE have been very warm, cordial, and reassuring. The two countries have shown considerable determination and the will to take the friendly and brotherly relation to a greater height. To achieve these noble objectives, Nigeria and UAE have so far signed 8 bilateral MOUs and agreements to lay a solid legal foundation for cooperation and collaboration in diverse fields of mutual interest. Areas covered include bilateral air services, money laundering, anti-money laundering, legal assistance in criminal justice and civil and commercial matters, transfer of sentenced persons, and investment promotion and protection agreement, and of course, the avoidance of taxation agreement, which fits into the narrative that you are trying to do. The important thing about these last 2 agreements, it is felt that it will kickstart serious business relationship between Nigeria and the United Arab Emirates. And you know that in international relations or in any relationship, agreements, bilateral agreements are the basis and they are the foundation for building up relationship. So that is what we have tried to do, and that's what we have done. And I think the ground is now ripe for Nigeria and UAE to move to the next level. More agreements on economic and financial cooperation, joint commission are also being concluded. The major visible, as you know, the major visible economic activity going on between Nigeria and UAE is the daily commercial air flights by Emirates Airline from Dubai to Abuja and Lagos, and by Etihad Airlines to Lagos. Many Nigerians come to Dubai for private business. We also have many Nigerian professionals working in the UAE. The two countries are very anxious for a serious business deal, especially in the areas of food and agricultural imports, exports, and investment. The Nigerian government has put in place economic policies that will diversify the economy away from oil export, agriculture, is a priority. Areas of strategic importance to Nigeria include, among others, export tomatoes, banana, plantain, orange, cashew, cassava, spice, sugar, palm oil, ginger, tamarind, and so many, those kind of things. Export opportunities in these products in millions of dollars is a reality. According to the president of, as you might have heard, according to the president of the African Development Bank, Dr. Himomi, by the year 2030, the size of food and agriculture business in Africa will reach $1 trillion. If you think of making money, that is the sector to be. In the light of the above, I think the Nigerian economy is the largest in Africa, and 90% of the total land is arable, cutting at different weather conditions. With over 200 million people in Nigeria, and within the ECOWAS sub-region, we have about 300 million people. Now, you can imagine Nigeria contributing 200 of that 300 million. So over 75% of Nigeria's population is under 30 years of age. So you also see that we have got the human resources to do the land. Opportunities in food and agriculture is abound in Nigeria. Investment in food sector of Nigeria is not only necessary, but investment into food and agriculture in Nigeria is not only necessary, but will be very beneficial to all investors in UAE and Nigeria, especially when movement of people physically is restricted due to this coronavirus pandemic. You know, you can transport goods because there's the air services going on, so you can ferry cargo without necessarily exposing people. So this is I think this is the best time to start this. So we have been delaying this thing over a long period of time, but I think the time has come that we should take this thing to the next level. The UAE has shown genuine interest over the last couple of years to massively invest in Nigeria, and we have assured them of the present administration determination to protect, guarantee, and grant the best possible incentives to the UAE public and private investments in order to make them competitive and profitable for the mutual benefits of our two countries, particularly in critical areas such as energy, infrastructure, concession, agriculture, mining, ICT, of course, the usual oil and gas. Finally, we are making all efforts to ensure the understanding of the UAE government to open up its markets for Nigerian exportable agricultural products and minerals, to enable Nigeria to join the elite club of UAE top 10 major investment destinations and/or trading partners. The Nigerian embassy should be the first point of contact with potential investors and foreign direct investment sources interested in learning more about Nigeria. I will just tell you why this is so, because recently I have received quite a number of complaints from Nigerians who, unfortunately, I find them very educated people, but got themselves messed up by transacting business with all the legal documents you can see. But of course, at the end of the day, they discovered that they were really scammed into it. And I have one before me now, which is about $300,000. Goods actually exported, sent to a client here. He has received them. He has cleared them from the port, but he has refused to pay. And now he doesn't even take their phone calls. And when you go to the office is closed, of course, due to the excuse of Corona and what have you. Now, when you read that, it's a clear case of fraud. And while I sympathize with my Nigerian brothers, Yet I believe if they had taken the little pain of contacting either the UAE embassy in Abuja or the UAE embassy, the Nigerian embassy here in Abu Dhabi, would have done due diligence on these companies they intend to transact business with. Now, I can't understand how you do export of that amount without bank involved. No bank was involved in this transaction, but you can see legal documents, everything. Perfect. Now, a lot of these things happen, and most of it happened because Nigerians probably maybe were in a hurry, but if you can go through the embassy here or through the embassy in Abuja, I'm sure you'll be saved. A lot of things, a lot of problems will be solved. So, in the course of your seminar, I would like you to emphasize this to all prospective investors or exporters or importers to ensure that the companies they are dealing with, either here or there, are authenticated and genuine to avoid this problem of fraud. So we need to increase trade and investment with UAE, especially in the areas of food and agriculture. Agriculture through its total value chain, such as export-focused logistics, product sourcing, specialized export infrastructure, processing, and many more. UAE companies have shown great interest in Nigerian food sector and looking forward to investing. And I'll give you one typical example. I'm sure for those who are familiar with UAE, with Dubai or Abu Dhabi or UAE in general, you are familiar with a company called Lulu. The Lulu supermarkets, the Lulu hypermarkets, and the Lulu group of companies. They are very much interested in being involved in the food sector in Nigeria. In fact, last year when Mr. President came, had the opportunity of introducing the chairman of the company. He had an audience with Mr. President, and they have indicated their interest to go and invest in food. They want to make Nigeria as a kind of center for where they will process all the food they buy in Nigeria. They will have a center that will process them for distribution to their supermarkets across the world, in Africa, in Asia, and here. So Lulu Company is one of the companies that has shown great interest to do that. And there are many more. So I believe that, Mr. Oro, this is, there's no better time to push this thing, together with the bank that I know for a very long time, even though I've never banked with them, to push this thing forward. And I believe we stand to gain individually and collectively. So I wish you successful engagement. I understand this is coming up next week. I hope I'll find the time to join you for more sessions. Thank you very much for the opportunity. Congratulations.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency, for that.
I hope I have met your expectations.
Yes, Your Excellency, as always, thank you very much for that very broad. And when you said it was going to be a short one, you did hit all the high notes as to why now is the time, as to why the partnership between the UAE and Nigeria, and even the partnerships they have with other parts of Africa, really makes this the right time for us to push these kind of things forward. So thank you very much, Your Excellency. Before I introduce our next speaker, I just want to tell everyone and remind everyone that you can ask questions by just typing your questions into the chat, or you can wait till the end when we open it all for questions to come in. But as we go through this, if you think of any questions that come to mind or something that you want further information on, please type it through the chat and I will gather that information, and at the end we can ask those questions. So our next speaker is Onyebuchi Ibiemi, and Onyebuchi is the Vice President of Cordell Stone Partners, the investment banking and financial advisor partner to Sterling Bank in the summit. She has built over 10 years of competence in originating and leading execution of mergers and acquisitions, valuation advisory, as well as debt and equity capital market transactions, spanning various sectors, including financial services, FMCG, healthcare, manufacturing, oil and gas, and the private sector. Onyebuchi, welcome, and thank you for coming in. And also, if you could tell us a bit more about the partnership that exists between Cordell Stone and Sterling Bank for the summit, as well as the history and contributions of agro development in Nigeria. Onyebuchi, over to you.
Hello, good afternoon. All right, I'm Onyebuchi. I've already been introduced. I think I had thought that we'll probably have the description of the deal room before we had the session, but that's fine anyway. I'll just speak a little to my next few minutes about how we will be working with Sterling Bank on this whole deal room initiative. So Cardinal Stone is actually a full service investment banking firm, and we are working in conjunction with Sterling Bank to support, I would say, the back end of this entire deal room. So the deal room is supposed to be designed to be like a meeting point for both investors and investee companies. That's actually like the basic idea, right? And what we understand from prior years was the bank was looking to do like a more intentional follow through on the engagements that would happen in the course of the deal room. And that's where we actually come in as Cardinal Stone. We'll be working extensively with Sterling Bank Agri team on seeing how as many investors that participate in this deal room, as well as investee companies that participate, are able to get the kind of advisory services and technical support in terms of seeing deals through to the point of being able to get either receive cash or invest cash. So part of the things that we'll be doing on the side of the investee companies, we'll be doing let me even say from the investor point of view, part of the things that will be helping investors, because we understand that by the time the entire summit happens, there will be a lot of investors who will come into this deal room and will be looking for specific kind of investee companies. We know that the number of investee companies that will participate in the deal room will not be exhaustive. So part of the things that we have done over the years, the experience we've built, is in terms of helping investors profile the kind of companies that they'll be interested in. I mean, what kind of companies are you looking for? Size, performance, and all that. And part of things that will be helping the investors on this deal room will be to profile, since we are locally on ground, profile companies that we think fits the bill and make that connection for investors. We'll also, I know that in Nigeria, there are a lot of technical support that you require on transactions of that sort. You will need legal, you will need, even though you might have your own foreign lawyers, but you will necessarily need domestic legal support. One of the things that we'll be doing will be to help you source for the kind of legal, technical, maybe advices that you require. Of course, part of the things that you'll be doing with due diligence, we've worked extensively with different due diligence providers, and so we're able to provide significant support in coordinating due diligence exercises. Of course, even in terms of the main transactions themselves, we're able to provide significant support in deal structuring. from how to, where will it be a share for share, will it be cash based, in terms of trying to structure transactions that will, to the extent possible, fit your bill. Of course, there's also the regulatory angle. In Nigeria, there's some kind of, there are regulatory filings that will have to be done to the Federal Competition Protection Council. And sometimes if it's a public company, then you probably have to go to the Securities and Exchange Commission. Of course, because we are licensed to do that, we're able to provide significant support on that as well. Of course, for the investee companies, one of the things that we'll also be doing will also be helping the investee companies match them to their potential investors. So some of the investors that may be on the platform may not suit them, but we're also able to access a wider spectrum of investors, and then we're able to link them up. Of course, we're able to provide things like valuation support for them. Of course, there's also going to be due diligence support. And of course, we're going to also be able to support investee companies. We can provide a lot of negotiation support, both for in terms of commercial terms on transactions. And of course, as the case may be, where required, also regulatory support. So those are the kind of things that Cardinal Stone will be working extensively with Sterling Bank to do in the course of this deal room. So for us, it's really, really, really about significant follow through on the engagements that will happen in the course of the deal room. Yes, very much. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that, Yemi. That was really good. What I am going to do now is I would like to call on to the next speaker, who is Mr. Ebenezer Obuwade, who will be talking about Sterling Bank and what they really look to support and maintain during the Agri Summit. Mr. Ebenezer?
Thank you very much, Nina. Thank you for having me. I also thank His Excellency for taking time to be here. We are so happy and we appreciate for taking your time to be here. I will stay with normal Nigeria balance that I'm going to be on existing protocol. So I welcome everyone to this webinar. It's actually a pre-webinar series before we have the summit by next week. I work for Sterling Bank. My name is Ebenezer Obuwade, to put it in the right way. I think Nina did not call it very well. Sterling Bank is actually as old as Nigeria. So Sterling Bank was established in 1960. So by the grace of God, before the end of the year, we'll be celebrating our 60th anniversary. So we are so much passionate about Nigeria. So we are Pan-African and we are Pan-Nigeria. We want to see something that will help the Nigeria structure to system and economy to actually to develop very fast. And that's why in Sterling Bank, we cut out 3 important focal areas that we actually focus our business model on. So we have what we call digitization in Sterling Bank and what we call specialization. And the third one is agility. So we have digitization, specialization, and agility. So I will speak on the specialization. On the specialization, we also have 5 focal sectors. So we call them the art of Sterling. So if I mention them, you know that they are the art of Sterling. So we have the H stand for health, the E is for education, the A inside is actually for agriculture, the R is for renewable energy, and the T is for transportation. So we know that these 5 typical sectors, if we have them well oiled and they are running very well in Nigeria, Nigeria will be the pride of Africa, which we actually want it to be. So we focus on these 5 areas to ensure that things move very well and they are focal area. So the A inside is actually agriculture. Agriculture is very germane. It's one of the things that we believe. Today, it contributes close to 25% to Nigeria GDP, and about 40% of Nigerians are gainfully employed in agriculture. So we believe that if we do something special within that sector, if we focus on the value chains, if we focus on the gaps that exist within the value chain, and we're able to see how we can synergize it together, we're able to see how we can quickly grow both the agri sector and the GDP. So we actually, based on this, few years ago, we come out with this summit. So this is the third edition. The first one happened in 2018. Yeah, last year we did one, and this year we're actually trying to structure one. And what has happened that COVID had made it very difficult for us to actually come together, be whether you are in UAE, you are in India, you can sit at your comfort of your house and join us by next week through virtual platform where we sit together and have conversation around agricultural development in Nigeria. So the topic is fast forwarding agriculture, the next revolution. So we believe that we need to disrupt this sector. The agriculture is as old as woman, but we need to bring in new inventions, new innovation, new things. How do we make things work? It's not how my forefather, maybe 30 years ago or 40 years ago, I doing agriculture that was supposed to do agriculture. So we want to see how we can leverage on so many things that are happening within our ecosystem and make sure that Nigeria agriculture and Africa, that's actually our focus, are more are well developed, and we can able to feed ourselves. The ambassador made something very germane when he was talking. We have about 200 million hectares of land in Nigeria and in Africa that are not we are not cultivating them, we are not utilizing them. So how do we make these things? Like the African can feed itself, but today our food import bill is growing every day. We can't do that. And we can see that synonymous to that is actually what we have on the security. The youth are not gainfully employed. So we believe that if you can do something special within the actual value chain, you'll be able to get all this. So, and that's why we have 4 major objectives for this summit. So number 1, we want to increase collaboration. So the ambassador has spoken what the government is looking at, what federal government is looking at, diversification. So we believe that private sector alone cannot do it. So we want to create a platform. We have private and public sector. We have conversation. How do we go? How do we move this sector? How do we take this sector to the next level of development? So there will be a time where we have things, paneling on public and private sector synergy. We are looking at how do we drive investment. And one of the things we are talking about here is what this actual summit, the deal room, is all talking about. So you have your deal, you have your business, but something is happening. Sometimes it's not even financing. Sometimes it's just to B2B or B2 market. You want to see how you can synergize with another person that are doing something across the value chain. I will give you an example. It's one of the testimonials that we had last year. Looking for financing, was actually looking at how it within his own subsector. It was in the, I think it's an aquaculture. Yes, it was doing fishery. But when he got to that summit, he discovered that someone is actually within his own, very close to his farm location, that is doing same thing, but is a little bit ahead of him in the value chain. And they were able to meet themselves, and the deal was struck. And today they are doing very well. He was doing production, the other one is doing another level in the midstream to take the production, process it a bit, and sell it to the market. So he was able to find a market for his product. So we believe that the summit is an opportunity for everyone to work and come together and find business also that speak to each other. Another thing we're looking at, how do we modernize and increase financing to smallholders? Nigerian smallholders is still there, the African smallholders. We need to make them to have a bankable business proposition for them to see how they are doing their business in 30 years again, cannot sustain them. Subsistence is synonymous to poverty. We need to change that narrative. That's why we're bringing everyone within that ecosystem together to speak about how do we uplift these smallholders to make them more, to make the work more thriving. And they want to see how do we improve the use of technology in Africa. There are a lot of things that are going on in technology space today. There are drones that are using to do land, to survey the land, to do plant agrochemical applications and other things that we can do. So we are other things that we look on that text that we need to talk about within the summit. So we are looking at that area. Then the adjusting for climate change is here. Nigeria, if you are here for the past in the Southwest where I stay, if not for last 2 weeks, for almost 2 months, there was no rain at all. So so the climate change is here with us. This is a reality. So how do we endanger, how do we develop crop resistance that for 2 months they'll be able to still produce the necessary harvest that they need to do? How do we bring out the genes, DNA multiplication that will make the other livestock to more resistant to climate change? So we're talking about the climate change, and we have all speakers. The number one speaker, I think the ambassador mentioned it, is the new and recently elected president of African Development Bank, Dr. Akinwumi Adesina. So we'll be making the keynote speaker, and the other keynote speaker is from IIT. So they will be there to make to take the conversation. How do we fast forward agriculture? How do we explore the next revolution? And we are other panelists. We have about 5 major panel sections that we are going to go into. So it's all about how do we develop this section. So we believe an opportunity has been created for us. A platform has been created for us. So whether you are anywhere you are within the agricultural value chain, whether you are in the pre-upstream, you are in the upstream, you are in the midstream, and you are in the downstream, the ambassador mentioned something very important that we should not gloss over. How do we do business between Nigeria and the UAE? How do we do business between Nigeria and India? How do we do business between Nigeria and EU? How do we structure our business? These are the things we need to talk about. You mentioned someone was unfortunately a very sad episode. He had transaction and going down the water. These things we need to change those narratives. And how do we get it when we come to this summit? We're able to get how do we do business? How do we do export in a very profitable way? How do we all these things learn as we come together to deliberate during the summit? So we encourage you and we advise you to log in to www.agrisummit.org and register for this summit. As I said earlier, it's going to be virtual because of the COVID-19 issue. And everyone is going to have opportunities, a great opportunity for networking, for you to be there to know the new things, the new trend in agriculture. And it will be a great time for everyone. So we welcome you very well to this Peace Summit webinar. We believe that with the tone that the ambassador have set for us in the agricultural sector, new time, it's a month, it's a new dawn for us in agriculture, and financing should not be a problem. As I said, the lady that actually spoke from Cardinal Stone said all things about the summit, about the drill room. There will be capacity development. That will help you to add, to handle you. How do you structure your deal, bankable deal? Whether you are looking for debt, whether you are looking for equity, or you are looking for the mixture of both debt and equity. So all these things will be made available at the drill room. And also business, when you are looking for people that will help you, maybe you want to source for a commodity in Nigeria, and this is an opportunity for you to strike a deal with a very good and very proven companies that can deliver on the terms and conditions of the contract you are going to sign with them. So it's an opportunity for us, ladies and gentlemen, and I thank you very much for coming. And please, as I said earlier, go to www.agrisummit.org and register for this summit. It should be a thing for the African nation, and to change the narrative of agribusiness, how we do agribusiness in this area. And we believe a lot by next summit, when we are going to have the same platform, you will be part of people that will give testimonial of what you are able to achieve and what you're able to gain from the summit. So the objective is well cut out, as I said earlier, is for us to key into it and to make it happen. So Sterling Bank, we are there. The reason we created the platform, once again, is to make all of us to be happy and to bring us into that place, to be able to, to network and be able to say, and be able to tell our mind, our point. Sometimes it may not be said in a way that want it to be, to be told, but you will be there to say it from your own mind and be able to negotiate and network with other players within the agricultural value chain. So thank you very much for having me, and thank you for joining. God bless you.
Thank you very much for that in terms of introducing exactly what Sterling Bank is looking to get out of it. I'm looking at the chats and someone just dropped that it's time for Africa to be producers. This is deep. And I agree with that because I believe you brought that message out very clearly. So thank you very much for that. I will also be putting the link of the website in the chat. So I will do that while the next speaker is talking. So for everyone on here, you can click on that link and also have access to the website. And with that, I would like to introduce our next speaker, who is Mr. Roland Oro, and he is the founder and director of the Nigerian Agro Business Register. Roland, over to you.
Okay, thank you so much, Nina. Good afternoon, everybody. I hope you can hear me. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, we
Very
can.
well, Roland. Very well.
Excellent. All right. Thank you so much. So my name is Roland Oro. I'm the founder and director of the Nigeria Agribusiness Register. The register is an eco system provider of services to the agribusiness sector in Nigeria and across the continent. We do investment facilitation. We support businesses, setting up in Nigeria and across the region. So I'm happy to be with you all, and thank you so much for coming. And we are providing support to Sterling Bank on the investment deal room that Ebenezer talked about, and also organizing this sensitization efforts, targeting the UAE and Middle East and Asian potential partners and investors. So once again, thank you so much. And I want to thank Sterling Bank for this opportunity. A lot has been said about the need for collaboration between Africa and the Middle East. And I think we all know the reason for that. Nigeria has, to put it in proper context, Nigeria has 92 million hectares of land. 82 million of this is arable, but unfortunately, only 32 million of this is cultivated. So there's a huge need for fast-tracking the agricultural development program for Nigeria from a private sector perspective. And I like the team, the Sterling Bank team, the team for this year's Agricultural Summit Africa, fast-tracking agriculture and exploiting the revolution. We need partnerships, like Ebenezer said, we need partnerships. We need to fast track. There's need now because of COVID, there's need to establish shorter supply chains. And UAE and Nigeria, for instance, is 6 hours by flight. I mean, it's no brainer why, UAE cannot source most of their food and agricultural products from Nigeria and from West Africa and Africa indeed. So I think with that, we all need to work very hard, to sort of bridge the information gap. See, there's a lot of lack of information, that is causing some of these issues. So I think the summit provides opportunity for getting the right information, getting to know who the key actors are from the government and the private sector side, and then also engaging. So I think everything is in place right now for people to take advantage. So we are here to support. Sterling Bank has given the platform. The deal room, which we are coordinating for Sterling Bank, is very unique. It's a way of improving the access to finance that a lot of the SMEs in Nigeria and Africa has. So we're going to be having fund providers, those who have appetite for supporting startups, and those who have appetite for supporting scale-ups of agri-tech companies. We will have them in the deal room. We're going to have a lot of project promoters, companies that are looking to scale in their agri-businesses. They will be in the deal room with their projects, and startups with innovative ideas, innovative solutions, for agriculture will also be there. And beyond that, we'll have produce off-takers and produce suppliers also be in the deal room. So it's going to be a very important meeting place. This is the second time we are coordinating the deal room for Sterling. Last year we had it, and we had about $49 million deals brought to the table. We want to do more than that. And so we're reaching out, to, potential partners. There's a link on the website, on the summit website. That link will take you straight to we give you the form where you can register for the deal room. So we look forward to having all of you, those who are interested in participating in the deal room. Actually, there are 6 categories of participants that we're expecting at the deal room. 1, startups. 2, project promoters that are seeking to scale up. 3, fund providers. So if you are an alternative fund provider, maybe in the impact space, venture capital space, or angel investor, or equity investor, yes, we would like to have you. Please come join us and see what we have in the pipeline. And then also we have produce seekers and produce providers. And lastly, we have state government investment promotion offices that are promoting public-private partnership projects in infrastructure and other areas within their domains. So they will be in the deal room. So ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to leave it at this point, and then we'll take questions if there are questions, to elaborate more on some of the points that have been raised so far. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for that, Roland. And thank you for elaborating on the deal room as well. So I have already put the website in the chat. So for those that are still trying to figure out what the site is, again, it's www.agricsummit.org, and you can copy it from the chat and put it straight into your browser, and it'll take you to the website where you can find all the information. So great, I'm gonna call to the table the next speaker, and this is Mr. Mohammed Ishmael from DP World, and he leads the business development activity across sub-Saharan Africa. Mr. Ishmael is going to be talking about the expectations from the business community from Dubai and the summit overall. So with that, Mr. Mohammed Ishmael, over to you.
Thank you, Nina. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm just going to give a little bit of a background on who DP World is, to give a bit of context to some of the questions or some of the issues I'm going to raise. DP World's the 5th largest port operator globally. We do about 9% of the containers moving globally. We've got 127 business units across 51 countries. Africa is a key area of focus for us. It's despite not many people on the continent knowing about us. We've been on the ground for over 20 years. We have 13 operations in 8 countries. We've deployed about $1.4 billion in the last 10 years. And we have a firm CapEx pipeline of $3 billion in the next 5. Now, Nigeria is a key market for us, like every other UAE or Gulf company who is looking at Africa. The difficulty for us is that we've not been able to find the right set of opportunities. We've looked very closely. It's a market that, if you're serious about Africa, you have to look at. But yeah, we just haven't found the right set of opportunity. Why are we, so you're probably asking yourselves, why is a port operator interested in an agricultural conference? It's really around 2 things. Firstly, agriculture is probably the most important sector globally. But within Africa and the Middle East, it's a particular importance. At the port, we handle 90% of the food being consumed in the UAE is imported. A lot of that is coming from ports we have in developing countries. And this is an area where we think that we have barely scratched the surface. African farmers are having issues getting the goods to the market. They're having issues getting the goods, the inputs that they need in a cost-effective manner. You'll see countries like Rwanda, where we have a inland logistics space. The shipment of a container from China to the port of Mombasa will cost between $500 to $1,000. Taking that same container from Mombasa to Kigali could cost up to $4,000. This is an area that we are particularly interested in because it's not fair and all good for business that some of the poorest people in the world are paying the most exorbitant logistics sort of costs. I think for DP World and UAE companies in general, Nigeria is obviously a huge market. With the ambassador and the support that both the UAE and Nigerian governments have given to improving trade ties, it is an area that can only grow, but I think we've barely scratched the surface. I think basically that's it for me. For us, we're looking for opportunities. We're looking at opportunities within the port space, but also looking at what we can do to improve the trade ties and improving that flow of trade between the two countries.
Okay. Fantastic. Thank you very much, Mohammed, for that input. I think everyone on the call has heard from our esteemed speakers, and I've heard the information for the summit that is happening next week. I don't see any questions in the chat, but I'm going to open it up to everyone here on the call. If you have any questions, you can take yourself off mute and ask those questions now. So while we're waiting for other questions to come in, and it will be interesting to hear from the panelists in terms of what their view of the key success coming out of the summit, third year running. What are two things each that you expect to define the key success coming out of the summit? I'm going to start with you, Mr. Ebenezer.
Thank you very much, Nina. So one of the key things for us is that we want, after the summit, we want improvement and growth in your, so we want, so the one KPI is that we want increment in your turnover, your business turnover. So we believe your business prosperity is our prosperity. And I'm sure very well that when you're writing the history of your company, you won't miss out Sterling for no platform for you to strike that deal. So what we want from the summit is that when people come in and they participate, whether at the summits, the plenary sessions, you're able to gain something that will have positive effect on your business. That by next summit, you'll be able to say your own part, the narrative that from this last year's summit, I was able to get this. I was able to to strike this deal, and my business actually improve up to 500% from what I was in previous year and the present reality. So because we want to measure that and be able to write those stories, and then it was actually Sterling Bank that midwife and that gave you that platform to that prosperity.
Fantastic. That is a really good answer. Before I continue with the rest of the panelists, there's a question in the chat that has come through. So I want us to ask that question first, and then we will go through the rest of the panelists. So this is directed to you, Mr. Mohammed, for DP World. And it says, what sort of opportunities can you provide, and what sort of opportunities exist, and can you provide an example?
So what sort of opportunities in what way? In terms of for a company like DP World to look at Nigeria, or more for us, obviously, yes, we're a port company, but we are interested in ports. There's no two ways about that. But we're also interested in the full value chain. We are looking more and more at sort of doing inland transportation, as can be shown by a recent investment in Rwanda. It's that inland logistics is a key important part, especially as if you're looking at a sector like agriculture, which isn't well serviced today. So it's providing that end-to-end connectivity, anything along the value chain, but a port is an important anchor investment for us.
Fantastic. Thank you for that. I hope that clarifies that question. The next person on the panel list, I'm going to ask to say exactly what their expectation at the end of the summit and what success would look like is Mrs. Onyebuchi, can you give your input in terms of what success would look like for Cardinal Stone at the end of the third summit?
Sorry, I didn't get that.
What will be two keys of success or two indicators of success for your organization by the end of the summit, going through this in the third year?
Okay, I guess just a couple of things. I think one will be getting a significant amount of completed transactions as offshoots of this deal. I think that's the biggest, that's one of the biggest things, getting a significant amount of, and we're looking at something in the range of at least a minimum of, say, 35 billion naira worth of aggregate transactions that can emanate from this. I think the other part also from the end of the bank will be to get at least a minimum of, say, about 500 SMEs that would be able to find opportunities for funding as offshoots of this program, something of that sort. Yeah.
Fantastic. And I'm going to direct this same question as well to hear from Mr. Roland to get your input as well in terms of what are going to be the 2 defining success moments for you at the end of this summit.
Okay, thank you so much, Nina. I think success for us is the takeaways that the participants get out of the meeting, and from our engagement with business people within Nigeria and outside Nigeria, access to information is very critical. A lot of people want to be involved in the agricultural value chain, and they need to understand where the opportunities are. And the truth is that the inefficiencies within the value chains are actually opportunities waiting to be exploited. And that's the essence of the summit itself. If you look at the title, it says, exploiting the revolution. So it's a question of information, all right? So the summit is structured in a way that there are several panelists, people expert in different value chains and areas of operations. So I think that participating in the summit will enable people to have access to information. And once they have the information, then they can process it and see if it meets their risk tolerance. And they'll be able to make decisions about what to do, either to invest or to trade or to do something. And then they will need service providers like the banks and service providers like ourselves, of course, that provide all kinds of support in terms of making investment intentions become realities. So I think for me, information is important, high quality information that have evidence, and of course testimonials. There are operators on the ground in Nigeria that have been operating in the agricultural value chains. They have experiences. So it's important to have access to those experiences, so that people can learn from the mistake of others. And the other aspect is the deal room that we are coordinating. We have a target of facilitating 200 billion naira after the deal room. So we're aiming towards that, and this is all part of the publicity that is required to sort of drive enough participation in the deal room. So I think with those 2 points, if we can achieve those 2 areas, I mean, it will be a successful one for us at the register. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you very much for that. In terms of giving your perspectives. We have a question from the audience, and I believe Mr. Lord will ask his question himself. He's putting his hands up. So Mr. Lord, I'm going to take you off. Okay, you've unmuted yourself. So please go ahead and ask your question.
All right, thank you. Hello, everyone. My name is Lord, reaching you from UK. Agric is my area. In fact, I have my first tertiary education in Agric. So it's an area that's very close to my heart, and I always return back to Africa. And all I want to do is go into agriculture. So my question, first one goes to Sterling Bank. We all know that, sometimes it sounds too good to be true when it comes to giving loans and support, financial support to businesses or startups in Africa. What are your requirements? Do you require some form of guarantee, collaterals, whatever, from people who need support in terms of financial support from your organization? And if you do, what are they? The second question is, what are the interest rates on your loans or your financial facilities that you may want to give to startups or people who want to go into agriculture. My other question goes to the entire panelists. I would really want everybody, all our honorable members on the panel, to say a few words about this. When it comes to dealing with Africa, the whole world has some kind of mindset towards Africans. And I have seen that because I'm in this business. It could be obvious. Some are hidden agendas we don't see. I'm talking about stigmas and also embargoes that are laid in terms of trade blockades and trade restrictions. What are we doing as a nation, as a continent, and particularly those of you working in this area? What are we doing to make sure that we are not only talking about the EU, the UAE, but also other areas that we could export agric products from Africa? How do we upscale? How do we take some of this colonial mindset about Africans and things coming from Africa not being the best? What are we doing to solve this problem? Thank you very much.
Okay, so let me answer your question. I think I need to blow my trumpet. So if I don't do that, who will do it for me? So Sterling Bank is one of the foremost banks in agri-finance in Nigeria. We pride ourselves that we are the only bank that dedicated 10% of the balance sheet to finance this sector. And we've been doing it consistently for the past 10 years. So our evidence, they are all, you can see it across the value chain, whether you are smallholder farmers, you are big time farmers, you are processors, all the actors across the value chain, we finance them. So on the issue of financing, so the key thing for us is that the first step in financing is not actually aspects of finance is not financing. It's actually more like getting the good actual practices and training. So what's most important is that when you are coming to us, you want to know that the financing the funding you want to do, you actually know what to apply the money, what the application of the fund is well structured. You get what I'm saying? So we look at that in your business plan, and we look at that in your business, how you structure it. And when it's fine, sometimes there's some transaction we do without even collecting any collateral at all, because the transaction itself is well structured and it will circular. So what is more important for us is to do that. And that's one of the reasons that we are setting up this platform for everyone to get information. And apart from that, for other people below the that are in the smallholder farmers that they don't have, they are more like deprived from the financing. We set up what we call Nigeria Farmers Radio today. We are the first commercial banks to do that. The Farmers Radio is everywhere in Nigeria. And what do? They are disseminating good actual practices every week to farmers. When to apply your fertilizer, when to apply your chemicals, the information on climate, how do you get your seed, how do you get your input in the right way, how do you do? These are the things that are actually missing in Nigeria agriculture and even in Africa agriculture. So we are doing that. The reason why we are doing that is to make sure that when you are coming to us for financing, you are well structured, you know what you need that money, the need for that money is well known, and you have the gap to want to fill in your business. So there are different products that we have within our ecosystem that doesn't even need collateral. They don't need collateral at all. What they need is to see the structure of that business, and we structure it very well for you and find a way to overlay it with necessary financing. So a lot of commercial banks are they went into agri-financing in year time past and they got their figure, but not in Sterling, because specialization is key for us. We have about 15-member team. Almost everyone within that team, they are all graduates of agriculture, agronomy, vet doctor, everybody within that agricultural value chain. So when you are coming, we know the act of agriculture. So we tell you what you need to do, and we match it with the funding that will match your gestation period of your business. So these are, apart from financing, we go and above board to do what we call agri advisory services. Today, because of the main issue that we have in Nigeria, We are financing about 35,000 farmers in the north to produce maize. And we are doing the same thing in rice. So we finance this without even necessarily taking any collateral, but we ensure that the inputs are given to them at the right time. And when it's the right time for them to aggregate, they aggregate, and they have routes to market well defined for them. So when you bring your business, we will sit together, advise you well, and give you the necessary products that will suit your business. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for that answer. And I'll call Mr. Roland to answer the second part of that question.
All right, thank you so much, Nina. So yeah, Lord Papa, I think I have some, I think I should be able to say a few things on the second aspect of your question, which talks about trade facilitation, export facilitation. I used to manage an export facilitation project for the US government in Abuja. And we're working with several SMEs producing several agricultural products from cashew, cocoa, sesame, and several food products that are exported to Nigerians in the diaspora, in the US and in Europe. The issue is a little bit tricky, and from the outside, you may think that these countries are deliberately trying to block exportation from Africa. I don't really think so, because it's a little bit complicated. And this is what really happens. Now, food being what it is, no country will play with food. I mean, you need to meet the basic food safety standards before you are able to access most of these international markets. And because of the challenges of the macroeconomic environment in many of these countries, the small players are not able to meet up with some of these standards or requirements. I'll give you an instance. Take cashew, for instance. Now, cashew, if you're going to set up a standard cashew processing plant that you're going to produce bulk kernels for export to the US, I mean, you need nothing less than $5 to $6 million to have all these food safety standards, in place, and all the necessary requirements, to ensure that the food is safe, when it gets to consumption. So access to finance, is an issue, and most times a lot of these small players, they want to cut corners, just to be able to make up and meet up, and then at the port of entry, sometimes when the products are tested, they don't meet the requirements, and then they are stopped, they're banned, they're destroyed, So I think that trade must be driven by investment. We must have the right investments, and that's some of the things that we're doing, in our organization, trying to promote investment so that we can have the right investments on ground, to be able to meet some of the basic, food safety requirements that are needed to access markets, and we're seeing some of the results. If you notice, some of the Indian trading companies in Africa, they are now moving into value addition. They're able to raise funding from around the world, cheaply, and set up in Nigeria and other countries, and they're able to do exportation. So I think we need to see more of that. Indigenous people need to be able to raise capital or form partnerships with foreign investors and be able to produce and be able to meet requirements. The other thing is lack of information. There is not enough market intelligence being done by Africans to understand the consumer requirements in the market they are targeting. So they go into the market blindly, and of course, you're going to have problems, So market intelligence is very important. And I like what the ambassador said earlier on, that we must make use of the embassies. These are tools that has been set up for us to use. The embassy has, human resources that can do intelligence on the ground and in the local market and communicate back to actors back home. And then they can arrange their production to meet the requirement, the consumer requirements, as well as the regulatory requirements. So I think if those two things are done, addressing the market intelligence challenges and then having the right investments, in basic food safety requirements, and of course with logistics, Ismail talked about logistics, so that we can become more competitive, in terms of accessing markets. it's very unfortunate that you have the AGOA, the AGOA program with the US and Africa. Well, we're not taking advantage of it because of these issues that I just mentioned. So I don't know if that answers your question, but we need investments, patient capital, bank credit, like Sterling Bank has, and then intelligence, and those who can really get the job done. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that, Mr. Rowland. We've got a question from Tim Olatoke, who is the founder and CEO of Ojamir Intellihive.com, which is an African marketplace based here in the UAE. The first of its kind, actually, that focuses on the African market. And they're also the sponsors of the Zoom meeting today. So Tim, do you want to ask your question?
Hello, good day, everyone. Can you all hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to speak. Being what we do here, it took us a while to set up as a marketplace that we sell a lot of African-inspired products, and a lot of our fast-moving products are food products. There are a lot of challenges we have here that has to deal with quality. So, and I know most of this stems from the source, where it is from the farms, how the goods were harvested and kept and processed. I don't know if there is a standard body. I know we've got NAFDAC, but over here in the UAE, we have different food and health restrictions and safety laws that they've put in place. And as you earlier said, Mr. Rowland, there are some foodstuffs that get here and is stopped and destroyed at the ports. And that's it's a shame that that happens a lot of times, but is there any institution that the bank is doing with the private and public sectors with regards to how the foods are actually processed, and if they are processed to an international standard that we can actually bring onto market and not just sell only to Africans, but sell across the sector, if you get what I mean, across all demographics. Hello, Mr. Rowland?
Sure. I think Mr. Rowland is going to answer that question now. Go ahead, Mr. Rowland.
Yes, thank you so much, Tim. So you raised a very important point. I think there are many ways we can address this problem. In Nigeria and in other African countries, you have the Standards Organization, you have the Food Safety Administrations. They do all the quality checks and approvals and controls. But of course, sometimes there are leakages and these things do happen. But I think what I want to suggest, and I'm happy that the ambassador is here, what I want to suggest is we need to have an agency. It might not be entirely government owned, but it could be like a public-private partnership that can work with producers, especially small producers or cooperatives back home, aggregate production, ensure that they meet requirements. So this is what needs to happen. So there has to be the investment in the food safety control. That agency would be like a trading house with very strong operations in various targeted markets. You have the Nigeria Export Promotion Council, which they can do something like that. But I think looking at historically and futuristically, I think moving forward, there will be need for a public-private partnership agency where there's private sector investment to make the investment that are required, so that that company will be an off-taker from small producers for several targeted products, food products, cashews, cocoa, whatever it may be, products that are consumed by Nigerians in diaspora. It could be gari, anything. That agency will make the investment to ensure that that product meets the requirements, safety requirements, the packaging requirements, shelf life, and all of that. That agency can also arrange for the best logistics, best transportation cost or program, so that it gets to market most cost effectively and well priced for consumers. That agency can also do a lot of market intelligence to be able to, work with information to ensure that product meets market requirement. So I think that is the way forward. I mean, we can't just be talking about problems. We need to look at solutions. So I think that's one way. And there are people already doing that. There are some private companies that are like brokers and intermediaries between production and the market. And I think we need to support those kind of organizations so that they can do more and scale up. A lot of countries are doing this. India is doing it. In each of the Indian embassy around the world, they have a very strong market development department that does market intelligence and works with the ministries and their agencies back home. So for Africa and Nigeria, we need to do more of that. We need to use our embassies. We need to work with them, strengthen them so that they can get information that can be used, to get products to the market. And that's one of the roles that we intend to play as we move on. I'm right now in the UAE, hoping to, have this kind of arrangement with the embassy here so that we can work with you, of course, Ojimea, to see how we can get products to you that meet the requirements here. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you for that, Mr. Roland. I've got a couple of questions in the chats and I'm going to go through those. For the questions that are directed at individuals, I will call out the individual, but if not, I'll open it to the group. There's a question here that says, is the summit aimed at only Nigerian agri-market or are smaller African countries being considered? So namely Namibia.
Yes, the summit is actually for all. No, it's across the Africa. It's everywhere within the African continent. And the last one we did, that was in 2019. We have about 19 countries that actually participated. So also with the advent of Africa, so Africa is more like a global village. So if you're in Congo, you are in Ghana. So whatever you are producing there is more like the same thing, the same metrics actually apply within the African continent. So it's open to all the African countries. So the speakers are not from Africa, not solely from Nigeria. The speakers are outside the continent. What we are bringing are people that have the subject matter specialists on that field to be able to give their own thoughts and intervention within a particular value chain. So everyone within anywhere you are within the African continent, you're able to get valuable opportunities that you can actually help you in your business endeavors. Also, if you are within, not beyond the Africa, like Roland said, he's currently in UAE and is trying to stimulate opportunity within that ecosystem. So more like facilitating business from Nigeria, from Africa to UAE as a whole. Also, Papa Lord, I actually asked the question the other time. He's in UK, but tried to see opportunity in Nigeria market, how we can facilitate it to UK. So it's everywhere. Within anywhere you are, whether you're in US, you're in UK, you can just join it because this is actually virtual. So you can be at the comfort of your home and join and see opportunity within Africa, how you can leverage on it and business.
Fantastic, thank you for that. I have another question here that says, what opportunities are available for farmers?
So as I said earlier, there are different programs that we have. Let me give you, even recently we an agreement with a donor agent. So we are more like getting a financing at its very, very comfortable and friendly interest rates to farmers. But I said earlier, financing is not the first step within our ecosystem. It's actually to teach these farmers on the best actual practices. How do you do this? How do you apply this? How do you plant? What farm population do you have? Crop population within your hectare? How do you that small hectares that you're actually utilizing? How do you scale it up? How do you utilize it profitably? So you get to know that within. So we are bringing special course expertise, course specialists.
Yeah.
farmers ecosystem to teach these smallholders farmers. So we are encouraging the farmers cooperative, the producer cooperative association, whether you are in maize, you are in cassava, so join us within that time to learn good agriculture. And also we are bringing IIT. IIT have been in Africa for the past maybe 60 years, and they have the history of getting the best in research and development in agric in Africa as a nation. So they will be there also to give their, and to give their, to provide their intervention, the new things that we are doing. Our cassava before, maybe we are having 10 tons per hectare. Today, we have nations, we have some areas where you are getting 35 tons per hectare. So that for that smallholder farmers to get the new trend in agriculture. So, and then we have financing opportunities that are there for them. And at the summit, they have opportunity to see us and to meet us. And we share our contact, we share our product, and we're able to have one-on-one conversation around their farming needs.
Fantastic. Thank you very much for that, Mr. Ebenezer. Mr. Roland, I'm going to come back to you. I know you have an additional point to make, but once you finish that, I have a question for you, but I'll come back to you to start that off first.
Okay, so yeah, so this is the point. The deal room is going to have the donor-funded projects that are providing support to agriculture. Like many of us know, there are a lot of inefficiencies in some of the value chains, which makes our production a little bit expensive and not very competitive. So there are donor-funded projects that tends to provide support to the private sector, like yourselves, so that they can leverage, public money, grants, to de-risk some of the aspects of their investment. And there are a couple of projects that we have identified operating in Nigeria, even across the continent. We're going to have them in the D room. And what they do is, providing linkages between smallholder farmers and private sector operators, say in value addition. So some of their cost elements may be subsidized in a sense, but the whole essence is to make your project more attractive for private sector funders to look into it. So we have that opportunity as well. The USAID, for instance, has a couple of projects that are giving out grants to private sector to work with smallholder farmers. So you can take advantage of that. There are a couple of them: DFID, USAID, GIZ, a couple of the donor projects that are working in Nigeria and across the region. And also we have the Global Business Alliance. It's a global platform for leveraging investments. They are supported by an international organization that has a lot of the big private sector operators as part of it. So they have a platform where you can actually raise funding for your project. They are partnering with us also to support agribusinesses from Africa. So I just wanted to drop that, for the awareness of everybody. Thank you.
Fantastic. The other question that has been directed to you is, how do you look at the rice market in Africa? So I think they want to know your thoughts on how you see the rice market overall in Africa.
So yeah, that's a very important question. I know that Nigeria is the second largest importer of rice, as at this was before 2014 when the ban and restrictions were put in place. After we're number 2 after Philippines, so we're a major rice consuming country and continent for obvious reasons. A lot of urbanization, people are moving from the rural areas to the cities. They need to have staples that they can quickly prepare. So rice is most homes, they take rice, as a daily staple food. So the demand for rice is really huge. And that's why the federal government of Nigeria has restricted the importation to support local production. And right now, a lot of value addition is happening. A couple of importers who were importing rice are now processing rice and selling the local market. There's a huge pipeline of new rice processing projects that are coming up in the country. And I think the same for several African countries. And again, with the Continental Free Trade Area, which is supposed to go into force this year, we're going to see a huge African market for rice. So I think for somebody who is outside the continent, you need to do two things. One, get as much information as possible to know which market you can start with, and then see how you can set up your production so that you can produce and sell within the continent. So I think the market for rice is strong. A lot of people are responding right now, setting up processing projects, and also working with smallholder farmers to get a constant supply of the raw materials. Right. So if you need more information, you can contact Sterling Bank or contact us, and we'll be able to help you moving forward on that. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Sorry, Nina, should I say something on the rice?
Go ahead, please. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you very much. So it's a new dawn in Nigeria on rice. Recently, I was looking at the report done by KPMG on rice market in Nigeria. Our per capita has grown from 35 kg to 50 or 60 kg per capita. So rice has become a staple food in Nigeria. So very viable market. But what are we advised will be investors? So there's so many research that I've done within the actual value chain, and especially on rice. So one of those things that we actually provide, and you're able to have opportunity to get within the summit, is the research that's already done on the rice market. What's most important is how do you source your raw material, the paddy. The paddy today, because of the market, so people come all the way from Cameroon, all our neighboring African countries to Nigeria to buy paddy, so which is very key. So before setting out that processing mill, know the area, the catchment area for your paddy, which is very, very important. So rice can be produced anywhere in Nigeria, and that's one of the good things that the God has done for us. So you can produce it, but you need to actually try to mention this, know the number, so the number of farmers within that area. And what we have done also is so that when you get to a particular state, you can have that data. Data is available today. What's the paddy production per year within that area? So that one will give you an idea. So if I'm setting 20 tons per hour, 20 tons per day, you're able to know and have an idea of the annual raw materials need for that particular plant. So which is very important, because we don't want to find an opportunity, a situation whereby you set up a mill and there's no rice paddy to actually service it. We have a lot of them today. They are doing suboptimal. Something that's supposed to be like 80 or 90 or 100% capacity. They're 30-20 because there's no paddy for them to produce. So this is very, very important. I think I need to make that clarification and addition to what Roland has already done, said here. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you for that. I am going to ask Lord to take himself off mute. I think this is the final question that we have from the day, but I'm going to ask Lord to take himself off mute, and please ask your question.
All right. Thank you, Madam Host. I think it's Nina, yeah?
Yes, it is.
Also, I want to use this opportunity to say a very big thank you to William and his amazing team for the work they are doing, the UAE Network, African Network project. Probably have to relocate and come and stay with you guys so that I'll be part of this big dream of yours. So thank you once again. I have come across a very troubling development. I haven't done enough research into it, but as we sit here and discussing progress on the continent of Africa, one of the things I want us to be looking at is that everything we do today will not be only based on money and how quickly we can succeed and become wealthy. I want us also to be thinking about those we may leave behind, the vulnerable in our society. As we plan to become great and big in our businesses, what are we going to contribute towards the vulnerable or the less fortunate in our society? That's one. The other thing I really, really want us to talk about, and I'm directing this question to His Excellency, the Ambassador, We talk a lot about colonialism and its effects on Black people on the African continent. And we are still, pushing on to free ourselves from the colonial powers and their, negative impact on us as people, as nations, and also as a continent. I came across a research group that I was troubled with their findings, that the governments within the African continent are not sponsoring the institution, the local indigenous institutions, in terms of seed production. All right, so the governments are giving way to the Western companies and so-called GMO organizations that are producing seeds. The seeds that they claim is genetically modified, so it could fight diseases and so on and so forth. There is nothing wrong with that, but the challenge, their problem, which I seem to buy into it, and hence why I want the government to look into this, is that they're claiming that if we are not careful and we do away with our local seeds, our indigenous seeds that we're used to in our systems for farmers, if we're not producing enough local seeds for our farmers and we're allowing this intruding species of seeds or companies to come and set up modern facilities to sell and produce and sell genetically modified seeds for us, what's going to happen is that our farmers will become dependent on those seeds. All right, so once our seeds are phased out, the local African seeds are phased out, we will become dependent on these companies to produce seeds for us, for our farmers, which again will result in, if they decide they are not interested or there is sanction on particular country or these countries, wherever they're coming from, they could be stopped from producing seeds for us because maybe our leaders refuse to do certain things or agree on certain terms, then we will become handicapped. And again, we will be tied to these people and these organizations. So I want to find out from the ambassador, if this is true, if it's so, what are we doing to, instead of allowing intruders to come and take over our agri sector, what are we doing to improve the local institutions to keep researching and producing local seeds that are used to the environment we are, and then our farmers too, so that we don't become dependent on these Western organizations, and if they decide to punish us and cripple our economy and our agri sector, we will become vulnerable again to them. Thank you.
Your Excellency?
Okay, Nina, I can respond to that while we're waiting for His Excellency to come.
Yes.
Is that okay?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, so I think, Lord, I think you raised a very important point, and it's something that, you know, everybody is concerned about world dominance. We're seeing much of that in other areas of our lives, you know. So I don't have an answer to that right now, but I think the important thing is to be aware of it and be able to find ways to guard against it, you know. And I think one of the ways is we need to integrate our diaspora community with our home countries. I mean, you are in the diaspora, you're an African diaspora, and you are able to sense this and see this. But back home, a lot of people, because of poverty and situation of the economy, they may not see this, and they may not see the threats and dangers that all of this, you know, carries. You know, so I think one of the ways moving forward is to really cement the gaps or close the gaps between the Africans in diaspora. And after that, we need to look at investment. I still come back to the word investment, because It's only with the right investments that are driven by Africans that we can really use to increase our participation in the value chains, either in the seed level or the fertilizer level, or whatever level that we may want to get involved in. We need investments. We are not investing enough. We're not. And we can't wait for the banks, because the banks, they have a limitation. You know, for new projects, for startups, for green fields, the banks are not even the right places to go to, because you need to have a cash flow to approach the banks. There's a law, the central bank of most countries have laws that can punish the banks for lending to non-cash flow projects or companies. You know, so we need to look at other aspects of financing, patient capital, you know, to see how we can start new projects, you know, invest in existing projects, scale them up, so that we'll have indigenous companies that are big enough, strong enough to withstand some of these threats from outsiders. Because what you are saying is very real, and it's very, very possible, you know, to make countries vulnerable. They massively invest in all these areas and weaken us and make us vulnerable and dependent, you know, to crush the competition. We've seen it happen in history. It has happened before in the West, you know, so nobody's going to do it for us. I mean, we had a meeting with the Dubai Chamber last year, and the guy said, look, some years ago, if you mention Africa, their members may not look at it, but now there's strong interest in Africa. There's strong interest in countries like Nigeria, but the negative perceptions still persist. We need to kill those perceptions, negative perceptions. Nobody's going to do it for us. You know, so I think moving forward, we need to be aware, like what you said, we need to be aware of these opportunities and threats, and then mobilize the right resources to invest and take advantage of the opportunities, and then manage the threats that we see around us. You know, so like I said, I don't have an immediate answer to the problem, but I know it is real, and we need to put it in our consciousness and see how we can be able to manage these issues. But that said, we also need technical partnerships to grow our agriculture. So it's not a question of shutting our doors to foreigners. We need foreigners. We need their expertise. We need their capital. But we should be in a position to negotiate on mutuality, on mutual benefits. You know, I think it's important to make that balance. And to do that, we need informed entrepreneurs. We need Nigerians in diaspora. We need Nigerians at home who have a passion for their country to be able to, take advantage of these things. So I think I'll leave it at that. But you raise a very important point, and something that all of us should be thinking about. Thank you.
Nina, can I give a simple response? Just 1 minute.
Go ahead, please do.
Yeah. So what the person that asked the question, the fear is very valid, and that's why we have a section within the summit that speaks to PPP, that's public private partnership, and it's going to be, anchored by NESG individual. So NESG in Nigeria is Nigeria Economic Summit Group. So they are the one that does the check between the private and the public. And one of the things they have been saying time past is to have legislation backing for all these things we are talking about. So the seed today, maybe 2 years ago, we have a seed act that was already gazetted by the National Assembly. So it's very valid. All the issues that Papa raised from his questions are well answered in that seed act. So National Seed Council, they have that act, so well structured. So the other things they are bringing in, and we need the summit, that panel session where you have public and private section. We can raise these issues. And one of the things that help us in this summit is that they communicate that we are going to generate or we're going to develop after the summit. We are going to communicate to everyone within the agricultural sector, both the public, both the private, both the executive, the legislature, everyone will have a copy, and we are going to drive for implementation. So very nice. I will say more of it when we come to the panel session, when you are going to have the panel session of public-private partnership. You can raise more, and it's actually open to everyone for us to participate and raise issues that has to do with legislation, acts, and the environment that we operate within the ecosystem. So thank you.
Thank you very much for that, Ebenezer. Courtney had a question, but I think you've already answered Courtney's question in the chat. I think that's it for the questions today. I want to thank everyone for joining the session today, our esteemed speakers and His Excellency Ambassador Remy. I think with all the conversation going in today and all the chats that are happening, the summit next week will no doubt be a huge success. I think one of the things that is exciting about it is the deal room and what to expect coming out of the deal room as well. So I think for everyone on the call who's joining, just to listen to what the summit is about, I think 3 key messages for me are there. 1, Dubai is open for business and trade from the agro sector with Africa, which is why we're having this here. I think secondly, there is a body with what Sterling Bank is doing and the fact that there is also financing for the right business and the right proposal. There's also support as well to create partnerships as a result of this summit. So the summit is not just about come, I have a farm, I'm having this challenge, and how do I get the money? I think the example that Ebenezer gave of those 2 people that came to the summit and they realized that they're doing the same thing within each other, and then how they can use that to partner, and then now they're even more successful together. I think 9 out of 10, sometimes we focus on the reward being financial, but really the partnerships are the bigger piece of this. The one thing I'm gonna say is that the video is going to be available from 3 major avenues. So you can get it from the summit website. You can get it through the UAE Africa Networking Group, who are the partners and co-sponsors of this event today. You'll also be able to get it, I believe, Mr. Roland, from Sterling Bank site as well. I have put the link and the website address for the Agro Summit as well. So please feel free to visit the website. Again, it's www.agrosummit.org. So with that, I say thank you, everyone. And I'll open it up to our esteemed speakers to share any final messages they have before we close the session.
So maybe I should go first. So thank you very much, Nina. Thank you everyone that's actually joined. We appreciate your time, and the conversation still continues. So please join us by registering within the www.agrisummit.org. By next week, 23rd, 25th, 24th, and 25th, you will have opportunity to actually have this conversation again, to network, more robust engagement, and very well structured, tailored panel sections that will actually address key issues. So thank you very much.
All right, thank you so much. On my side, I want to call on Nigerians in diaspora. If you have a good solution for agriculture in Nigeria or in Africa, please come to the D room, sign up, register for the D room, and let's meet there. All right. Thank you so much all for joining us today. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you everyone for joining. Thank you for your participation. Thank you for all the questions. The video, as I said, will be available on all the partners' websites, including the Nigeria Agribusiness Register as well. So thank you all for your participation. Hope you will take this as an advantage to actually join the summit next week, but more importantly as well, register for the deal room. Thank you, everyone.